What's going on, guys? Shonen Express here, delivering to you my weekly manga rankings. Coming in 10th this week is Beast Children. Now, Beast Children is a new manga that I've started reading recently. I mean, it's only, I think, 9 chapters long at this point. So, obviously, it's brand new in Shonen Jump. It's a sports manga about rugby. I do really enjoy this series. This week's chapter was just kind of a setup for what I imagine will be a training arc that we're heading into. But it was cool to see, Sakura just kind of be around the other characters, and they all went out to eat, and that was kind of funny. But, with all the other chapters coming out this week, this one takes 10th place, takes the bottom slot, just because not a lot happened, and it was just kind of an ordinary chapter. In number 9 is Hajime no Ippo. I've read this manga for a long time now. Obviously, it's 1,270 chapters long at this point. So it's one of the longest running manga that I've read. I really like this manga, but this week's chapter was just kind of him, Ippo, training his 2 new recruits. Not a whole lot of stuff going on, and especially after last week's chapter, I was expecting to get more news as to whether Ippo would go back to boxing, but we didn't get any of that. They kind of alluded to it, but they really didn't give us any more info on whether Ippo is going to come back to the ring or not. I really hope that he does. I think he has to, but who knows? But this chapter was kind of lackluster this week, so it came in number 9. Coming in 8th place was Tokyo Shinobi Squad. This is the lowest ranked manga that I review every week. And Tokyo Shinobi Squad is a brand new manga. I think primarily why I'm not feeling these chapters recently is because this new arc about Maki, the supermodel, is just not that interesting to me. So I think that's why, I think every week they're going to be a little lower on the list, and I'm sure when we start another arc, I will feel differently, or if this arc picks up, I'm sure I'll feel differently. That might be happening after what we saw at the end of this chapter, chapter 8, but, for the most part, I put it in 8th place because the chapter wasn't that exciting to me this week, especially when I compare it to all the other chapters that we got this week. Coming in 7th place is Boruto Naruto Next Generations. I am very invested in the Naruto franchise. It was the second manga that I read ever in my life, and so I really like Naruto. I'm very invested in the franchise, and so I keep reading Boruto. To be honest with you, I don't really like Boruto as a story all that much. It doesn't feel the same as Naruto, but this chapter did. I think this was one of the best Boruto chapters I've read in a long while. I think that this chapter really helped give me that feeling of like we're still in the Naruto universe. It was cool to see Jigen, the main villain, like kind of come to the forefront. That was cool. And so, it was an exciting chapter. And for Boruto, I think it was one of the best chapters of Boruto that I've read so far in that series. But it still only got 7th place because there were some amazing chapters this week. Coming in at number 6 is Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone was absolutely phenomenal this week, for sure. It was, cool to see Kohaku trying to get through the concrete shell that was around the materials. But the thing that I like the best about this chapter is at the very end where Senku has this like sort of dialogue with his dad about these materials. And it really felt good. It was a great way to end the chapter. It was cool that they used the silent bombs in this chapter. I really liked it, so it was definitely cool. Definitely deserves at least 6th. I'm sure some of you would have put it higher, but 6th is definitely where I put it. It was an amazing chapter. It's just that all the other chapters above it I thought were just as amazing. Coming in 5th place is Samurai 8, The Tale of Hachimaru. I thought this chapter was an awesome chapter. Like I said, I'm very invested in Naruto, and so Masashi Kishimoto, the author of both Naruto and Samurai 8, is someone that I want to follow. So I read Samurai 8, I started reading it rather, primarily because Kishimoto was its author. But I really like the story now. I think he's really doing a great job with the story and where it's going. It was really cool to see the villain, Ata, or at least I think he's going to be the villain, Ata, being a very interesting character. He's very respectful, but he's definitely still cruel and definitely a villain. So it was interesting to see that kind of dynamic going on. But it was very exciting, and so that's why I ranked it 5th on my list this week. Coming in at number 4 is My Hero Academia. I mean, what can I say? This week was phenomenal. We got more of Shigaraki's backstory, and oh boy, is that messed up. The art, this chapter was incredible, and Shigaraki, I at least am starting to understand what's going on, why is he the way that he is, and it's become very, very clear. I think Shigaraki's a much more developed character now because we got this backstory, so I'm really excited to see where we're going in My Hero Academia from here on out. But it gets number 4 because I think all 3 stories above it had better chapters this week, even better than that. Coming in number 3 is Black Clover. Black Clover, this last arc in this manga, I haven't really loved all that much. However, this was the final chapter of the arc that we've been in for quite some time now, and definitely, honestly, one of the biggest arcs in the series so far. It was a little confusing for me to follow this arc, and I think that's why I didn't like it quite as much as I liked some of the earlier arcs in Black Clover. But this arc finale was awesome. It was touching. It was cool to see. We got the Golden Lion, Captain Vengeance back. It was really cool to see how this wrapped up, and I'm really excited to see what's going on in the future. Honestly, I thought they were going to wrap Black Clover up with this arc. I thought this was the end-all, be-all, but it doesn't look like it is. It looks like we're going to keep going. I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited to see what Tabata is able to bring us in the following weeks. Coming in at number 2 is The Promised Neverland. I review this series, and so you've already gotten my chapter review. If you haven't seen that, please go check it out. But I think that The Promised Neverland this week was incredible. We have come off a string of chapters for The Promised Neverland that I thought were insanely awesome. I love backstory. I love exposition. I love getting to see things that are very important for the story, and these past couple chapters have been that. This chapter kind of went away from that. I'm excited to see what Emma is doing with the Demon King guy or the Demon God guy, whatever he is. I'm really excited to see about that. But we left off on a cliffhanger there, which I think is good. Makes me anticipate the next chapter, which we may or may not get there. But the stuff with Dawn and Gilda and Hayato ratting him out and Sung-jo just ready to kill, it was really cool. I'm so glad to see Musica and Sung-jo again. It was very exciting to finally get to see them, especially knowing what we know about them now. I'm very excited for the coming chapters, but this chapter was super hype, and it got number 2 this week for sure. And the undisputed number 1 manga this week was One Piece. One Piece was incredible this week. Luffy's moment this chapter will go down in One Piece history as one of the coolest moments for Luffy. Luffy has a lot of these moments. In most of the arcs, I'd say Luffy has a moment like this. But when he grabs those people, gets the disease, and says, what overwhelming power, this is nothing, and then says, I'm going to defeat Kaido, I'm going to bring food back to Wano. It was an amazing chapter for Luffy and for One Piece as a whole. And at the end of the chapter, I think it gives us enough hints to think that next chapter, we're going to be moving away from Udon Prison. And I'm very happy about that. I liked being in Udon Prison, but I'm happy that we're going out, that we are starting this revolution. I think it's time, and I think that Oda has a lot planned that is going to be awesome. So I was in anticipation for the next chapter, and this chapter was just the coolest thing to see. Like I said in my review, you can go check that out. If you haven't checked that out, please do that as well. But it was an awesome chapter this week and definitely deserving of the number 1 spot. So that's all for this week's rankings, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked what I had to say, please give me a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. I bring you manga reviews as well as my weekly manga rankings every single week. I'd love to have you as my subscribers. Also, if you disagree with any of my rankings or you even agree with my rankings, please tell me why down in the comment section below. I'd love to have that discussion. I love reading manga and I love hearing other people's opinion about it as well. So please let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. But for now, that's all I have. This is Shonen Express, signing off.